here, you decided that you wanted to come meet with us and you didn't need to hear about the state of the district, which is happening right now. I know that they will be covering a lot of things that happen in TISD. Those of us who have children who are students of TISD will just have to catch the YouTube link of what happened during that meeting. Okay, I'm calling this meeting to order, so make sure that you take your cell phone and place it on silent, but also make sure that you take a selfie of yourself and your best friend or your table. Check into Holly Tree Country Club and check into the Rotary Club of Tyler's meeting and place that on social media, okay? We did get to have a pianist today. Maybe the pianist was also at the State of the District meeting. While we're thanking people, I want to thank our greeters for today. We have Patty Eccles and Bill Crew. Thank you so much. Okay, so now for our national anthem and pledge of allegiance, I would like to welcome Mary Birch to the podium.
Yay, Mary.
Maybe I'll sing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight? For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Now for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mary. And now for our invocation and introductions, Dr. D.M. Edwards.
Thank you, Madam President. Let's bow together in a word of prayer. We thank you, Lord, for each person, each family represented here at our meeting today. We ask, Lord, your guidance, your protection, your watch care over each person and family. We thank you for the privileges and the liberties that we enjoy as Americans. We pray for those around the world that are fighting for freedom and for liberty. And we ask, Lord, that your guidance and protection be upon them and their families. Thank you for the work of our Tyler Rotary Foundation and for the work of our Rotary International Foundation in so many humanitarian areas. Thank you for this food, for every blessing, Lord. We ask it all in your perfect and powerful name. Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated and we'll greet our guests and visitors today. Let me ask, are there any visiting Rotarians here at the meeting today? If not, let's introduce our guests. Let's start over here on this side of the room. Who brought a guest with you today? If you would stand and introduce them.
This is our good friend Teddy. He is from graduated high school in Royce City, but he's a TJC student. Happened to grow up with my cousin's family, so we got to be introduced. And he's been a good friend of ours for the last couple of years. Been trying to get him to join us for Rotary, and for once he doesn't have his lab on Thursday. So
Wonderful, welcome. Come back and visit with us again. Other guests that you brought today. Thank you so much for coming. I'll turn things back over to our president.
Thank you, DM. Okay. All right, now we get to have one of my my favorite parts of the meeting. We get to find out whose birthday it is, okay? We get to find out how old we feel because we're gonna welcome Paul Glasser with This Week in History.
Not sure I love that, starting today, the 16th of November, 1959, headlined by Broadway superstar Mary Martin, Rodgers and Hammerstein's The Sound of Music opened in New York. The production drew tepid reviews, but played to 1,443 sold-out houses. Oscar Hammerstein died of cancer the following August. The last song he wrote was Edelweiss, which was a late addition to the script. On the 17th of November, 1970, the General Court Martial of Army First Lieutenant William Calley began at Fort Benning, Georgia. Calley was charged with murder in connection with the massacre of Vietnamese civilians at My Lai at the hands of a that he led. Calley was convicted, sentenced to life in prison. There was strong public opinion, however, that Calley was a scapegoat for a war that was going bad. His sentence was commuted in June 7, 1974, and he is now a jeweler living in Columbus, Georgia. On the 18th of November, 1883, in response to the speed at which things could move via rail and the confusion as to departure and arrival times at stations along the way, the major railroads of the United States and Canada adopted a standard that divided the North American continent into 4 standard time zones. Until then, time was determined by high noon, quote unquote, at a specific locality. The zones were designated Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific, and the lines that the railroads drew are essentially unchanged today. Local governments within each zone adopted the new standard almost immediately. The U.S. government, however, didn't make the zones official until Congress put them under the supervision of the Interstate Commerce Commission in 1918. On the 19th of November, 1863, having been invited almost as an afterthought by David Wills, a Pennsylvania attorney charged by the governor to take care of the dead following the Battle of Gettysburg, Abraham Lincoln delivered a 269-word, 2-minute speech at the dedication of the Soldiers' National Cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The speech contained the phrase, "The world will little note nor long remember what we say here." Today, the Gettysburg Address is one of the most quoted speeches in all of history. On the 20th of November, 1945, trials of 24 Germans accused of war crimes and atrocities attendant to World War II began in Nuremberg, Germany. The trial continued until October 1st, 1946, when 12 defendants were sentenced to death. 7 received prison sentences ranging from 10 years to life. 1 was judged mentally incompetent, and 1 committed suicide while in custody. All of the executions took place on October 16th. On the 21st of November, 1980, an estimated, speaking by the way of Mary Martin, this is her son involved here, Larry Hagman, an estimated 350 million people worldwide tuned in to see on the CBS television network to find out at last who shot J.R. That question had entered the American lexicon following a cliffhanger episode of the TV series Dallas in the March 21st final episode of the previous season. Those 350 million viewers learned that it was his former mistress and the sister of JR's wife who pulled the trigger. So what are we learning there, JR? Finally, on the 22nd, 1963, those of you old enough, where were you? On a campaign swing through Texas that included a stop in Dallas that many in his circle strongly argued against. President John F. Kennedy was shot and killed while riding in an open-top limousine in a slow-moving motorcade shortly after making the 135-degree turn from Houston Street onto Elm Street in front of what was then called the Texas School Book Depository. Birthdays in the coming week, starting tomorrow, actor Danny DeVito turns 79. On Sunday, actress Meg Ryan turns 62. On Monday, President Joe Biden turns 117. Actually, he claims 81. On Tuesday, Goldie Hawn turns 78. And finally, on Wednesday, actress Jamie Lee Curtis turns 65, and that's This Week in History.
All right.
Thank you, Paul. I think we're believing the 117 at this point. How many people in this room, by show of hands, remember where you were when President John F. Kennedy was shot? Okay, yeah. So my mother used to tell me that, I think my mom was in second grade at the time, and she said school, and this is in South Carolina, by the way, where I'm from, you guys know that. But she said school let out. It was just a jarring, terrible event. Nothing like that had ever happened. Nobody had ever lived through anything like that. So, of course, I wasn't born at that time, but most people that were around can even remember hearing the news, remember what they were doing, and remember where they were when the president was assassinated. Yes, Carol? 100, yes. And in fact, one of the first Rotary Club meetings that I attended, I sat at the table, I believe, because I was presenting for Meals on Wheels, and Dr. Hudnall told the story of John F. Kennedy coming into Parkland. Is that correct? My mind was blown. I couldn't even eat. I couldn't even believe that. But we might one day in the future like to get, if you can, your personal account of that, for those of us who weren't around, and just what you saw and what was going on and just everything that was happening. Because I think you have a unique perspective.
From that is that governmental conspiracies did not just start last year.
Oh, that's so good to know.
There was a huge conspiracy 65 years ago.
And it's refreshing, because so many times I think people in our generation think that we invented the conspiracy, although we did not. So, yes, Benny.
I remember, I was living in Dallas, and I was in elementary school, but I remember for years after that, when we went on vacation, my mom would tell us kids, don't tell anybody where you're from. Because people hated the city of Dallas because of that.
Because the doctors that were involved with him, who were classmates of mine and good friends of mine, all were told, if you say anything about this, you may die.
Wow. So that's certainly a perspective that I think probably needs to get its own spot on the program list. So I'd like to hear a lot more about what you know about that. And then as far as the show Dallas goes, my grandfather raised hunting hounds, and he loved that show so much. Just for those of you that don't know, when you aren't from Texas, the only thing that you have to reference Texas is the Dallas Cowboys and the show Dallas. So that was what I thought the whole state was like when I moved here. And he even had a dog named J.R. Ewing, just so you know. So, okay, so let's move on with a little bit of Rotary business. It is a really, really big honor for me, not just to be your president, but I also get to have the honor today to present 3 Paul Harris Chevron Awards, and these chevrons are given for Paul Harris Society members. So please welcome to the podium, as I present them, their pins, Pamela Walters, Dr. D.M. Edwards, and Bill Pascal. So you've heard me say before that it's a really big endeavor, of mine just to get the pin, just to get my first Paul Harris. Obviously, this is not the first Paul Harris for either DM or Pamela. So as you grow in your mission to be a part of that foundation, you will get several different pins with different stones filled in as you contribute, and then you get these, when you're a Paul Harris Society member, you get the chevron. So I would like to present those to you to be worn with your pin. And is there anything that either one of you would like to say about your journey with being such a big supporter to the Paul Harris Foundation? Because it was such an honor for me just to get the one little pin. And I don't wear it sometimes because it pokes a little hole through my dress, but a lot of times it's very prideful for me just to be able to wear that, especially to Rotary events. So,
Look, one thing I would mention about it is talk about being multiple Paul Harris fellows, each of us in the club. When you reach a cumulative total of 10, then you become a major donor, Rotary International, and then when you reach the $250,000 level, they have another recognition. So we can all work on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an honor for me to be standing up here with DM, who has absolutely been a tremendous role model and mentor to me in Rotary and in leadership and in life. And I want to say that I would like to see everybody in this club standing here to receive your chevron. And all it takes is a commitment of the foundation annually, and you too can have a chevron and be so proud to wear it and know that every day you're doing great things in the world and literally changing people's lives. So thank you.
One other thing that we should all keep in mind when you give to the Rotary International Foundation, it has the coveted 5-star rating from Cherokee International, so your money's well used.
Absolutely. And how many Paul Harris do you have currently?
14.
14 for Dr. D.M. Edwards, and Pam, you're on what number?
I don't know.
5, so yeah.
I think it's
So that's quite a bit. So thank you both so much. You set a fine example for this club.
It's a great club.
It is. I have to agree. Thank you so much. I know that earlier this week, there was another luncheon that I attended, and it was Foundation, I'm trying to remember which one I went to, because my 11 o'clock. Yes. Yes. And the speaker there was talking about the difference between being wealthy and being rich. The one thing that I remember he said, being rich just means you've accumulated a lot of assets. You've got a lot of money. But being wealthy means that you have taken responsibility with what you have, and you have made a commitment to the community around you. That's different. He said there are a lot of people that have a lot of money, and they have a lot of money and they keep a lot of money. But I think it's really, really honorable to, when you know that you have been blessed with much, you realize that to those whom much has been given, much is expected. And I think that's kind of what Rotary is, and that's what it's all about. And I know that membership tries to live out every day. Okay, so Rotary business, we're going to go on with that. We've got 2 donation boxes out there. I know you see the one that has the grocery bags in it, but we also have a donation box that was placed out there by Chris and Christy Hill, and that is for different toiletry items for people who have been rescued from sex trafficking, okay? We learned a lot about that at the last district conference that we went to, and they even told us oftentimes they would get people rescued, and there were tons of things that they needed that they just didn't have. And so we all thought, you know what, it might be a great idea for us to collect those items, put those items in the box, and Chris and Christy Hill will get those items to where they need to be. Would you guys like to say anything about that?
We're gonna be collecting all the way through November, so our next Rotary meeting will be last.
All the way through November. And I do know that when we were talking about toiletry items, they said they really would like the regular sized ones instead of the travel size. But oftentimes they only have the shirt off their back, so they don't have t-shirts, they don't have sweatpants, they don't have socks. They really have nothing. So please make an effort to donate to that particular thing that we're doing. I had no idea that Tyler and Smith County in East Texas had so many victims until I started looking into the emergency department where I work. We actually see quite a few of these victims and find them and rescue them. It was in our backyard, but it is. And it has a lot to do with our placement between I-20 and where we are in relationship to major cities. I-20 apparently has a lot of events that are along there. And so it's just a real easy place to move those victims. So it's here. Okay, World Polio Day donations are still being accepted. So please get in on that. That was October 24th, is that correct? But Holly is still accepting those. Our next 5 o'clock somewhere Tuesday, November the 28th, 2023 at Hobbies. Okay, so that is going to be fun. Let's make sure we turn out. You don't want to miss out on that. All the cool people will be there. Okay. Rotary Clubs of Tyler Christmas Parade. Raise your hand if you know the date of the Christmas parade. Don't shout it out. Okay, if you're on the committee, you don't count. Okay, if you're on the committee, you don't count. So if you're not on the parade committee and you know the date of the parade, raise your hand. Okay, Andy, what's the date? The 30th, November the 30th. That's the Christmas parade. And guys, this thing has steadily gotten, I think, bigger and bigger and bigger. Please come out. If you come out and help, and if you don't want to help, bring your kids, your grandkids, your neighbors, your dog. Grab somebody you don't know off the street, kidnap them, and bring them to the parade. Whatever you want to do, but this is an all hands on deck event. Yes, Holly.
Well, and with that, the route has changed. So if you want to pick up a map that JD3 has put together on the table out there, it's our map, but he's made copies, so you're welcome to take those. When you look at it, the green arrows are where the participants are actually walking through. Then when you see the red arrows, that's when they're going back to their start place. And it's going down Broadway, but we're turning on Locust this year. We're not going up to Ferguson, and it's going all the way down to North Bonner and making a left on North Bonner and then another left on Ferguson. We're going that direction. So we've got a longer route for the participants this year and more space for people so they're not so jammed up. But don't plan on watching from the square unless you want to be at the very end of the courthouse, because that's not where it's going to be.
Chris, you have a question?
You said going to be a briefing. There was a briefing last year. Is there going to be a briefing this year?
Sure is. They'll be getting information.
So please come out. I think they stopped taking entries at 125 entries. Is that right? So 125 entries. I'm still getting emails from people asking if they can be in the parade. I told them a resounding, it's too late. You can't. No, please, we can't. We just can't have any more. So it's a really, really big event, and we have one of the best Christmas parades of any town around. So come on out, and if you're interested in helping that day, please get with us. Someone on the parade committee, we would be happy to help you. Salvation Army bell ringing. You should have gotten an email that had a sign up Genius link on it. Who's already signed up? We're going to ring the bell for Salvation Army again. I'm doing it again last year with our Rotary and Hemet. So me and Hemet are going to be at Dillard's, and I think we're the last one of the day. Last year, we did not have a moment. I mean, we didn't get a break. That door swung open and closed constantly. Our little bucket was running over. Somebody came over and had to shove the dollar bills or the money down into it, and I had to turn it back in at the end of the night. It was so heavy. Yes, ma'am.
And if you bring your Bluetooth speaker and play Christmas music and dance, you really did a lot.
And that's what we did. Yes, Hemet brought a Bluetooth speaker and played Christmas music, and we were singing along. Yeah. So I think we probably drummed up a lot of that business ourselves. So definitely sign up on Sign Up Genius if you want to do that. It's December 5th at Dillard's, December 6th at Brookshire's and Rice Road, and we need 2 Rotarians per shift. And you can bring your kids too, okay? You can bring kids, grandkids, that always helps. Holiday party. Okay, we're having a holiday party this year at Hobbies, and that's Tuesday, December the 12th. It's going to be from 5 to 7 or from 5 to whenever they kick us out, which has been the trend. And we're going to have an ugly Christmas sweater contest. All right. This replaces the 5 o'clock somewhere in December, so get your ugly Christmas sweaters out. The uglier, the better. If it lights up, if it's got Rudolph, Frosty, and Cousin Eddie from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Okay? Get creative. I'm sure you can find something on the internet, but please come out and wear your ugly Christmas sweater. And like I said, we always like to see those. You can get them now with lights on them. You can even make it the whole outfit if you want to. Christmas sweater, Christmas pants. Please bring your grocery sacks. Remember, we're still collecting those for the East Texas Food Bank's mobile pantry. October volunteer hours, you all know what to do. If you volunteered in October, please email that to Holly. And we have a board meeting tomorrow. Our board meetings are always held at Ultra Federal Credit Union. They start at noon. We usually start shuffling in about 11:15, 11:30 because we all bring our lunch and we like to eat first and then have the meeting. If you would like to attend that board meeting just to see a lot of what we have to discuss, be a part of that. If you've ever wondered about being involved in leadership, I really want to extend that invitation to you to come to be a part of the board meeting. Imagine we will have a lot of parade information to go over tomorrow. We'll hear about that, but you're welcome to come. The meeting will begin promptly at 12 noon, and I do my very, very best to get everybody out of there as close to 1 o'clock as I can. But sometimes we just have a lot of agenda items that we have to discuss. Okay. Program for November the 23rd. What's our program for November the 23rd for people?
We don't
reading
have
the-
one.
Food.
Oh, wait a minute. Are people reading the bulletin? Okay, now, go ahead and be honest. You should be getting a bulletin in your email that is more clarified and condensed, doesn't have a whole lot of stuff in it. But just be honest with me, who misses my picture being on it?
It's back on there.
It's back up. Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Who didn't read her bulletin this week? You just ratted yourself out.
Okay, all right, yes, we definitely want that information to be a little bit more condensed for you, so it's easy to find, so, okay. All right, my picture's back on there. Okay, is Kobe here?
No,
I don't-
he told me he wasn't coming and I
Gotcha.
didn't strike it off. Sorry.
So, as many of you know, we've got a lot going on today. Senator Hughes was going to be our speaker today, but he is in Austin. He's doing his job, okay? That happens, guys, and that's what we want to do their work, especially whenever they're working for us and working in the government. And, yes, Ian?
Once they conclude the legislative session, he hopes to reschedule for January.
Excellent, excellent. So he will be rescheduling in January, and we are so thankful that we have members like Dr. David Nichols that travel so much and can bring us programs about their travels, about the things that he's involved with. As you know, he's already heavily involved in Bethesda, and that's really, really heartwarming that we have people that are available at the ready to bring us wonderful programs. So I will stop talking and I will turn it over to our wonderful Dr. David Nichols.
That's a good introduction. Thank you, Trudy. Okay, I'd like for this to be fun today. So we're going to start out a couple of comments, and then we're going to go into a little story about Tanzania, Africa, and then we're going to go over to maybe Israel, show you a map of the next war coming there, in case you want to. We're going to show us some things. Maybe you don't like it because I'm going to show you little eyepieces. And if you have any questions or comments along the way, you feel free, because we're going to end on time, about 1:15.
Wait a minute.
Anyway, I'm honored to be here today because I looked over at my table and Mr. Jim Perkins came today. First time in 3 months. Y'all give Jim a hand. I don't think he came to hear me, just accidentally fell into the holly tree today. That's true. The other thing I will tell you is God's blessed me in a lot of ways. I've gotten to go to a lot of places, mostly mission trips. I'm not a big vacationer anymore, but I've been to Israel. I've been to South Korea. If you remember, a few months ago, we had a Colonel Suk here, who was the head intelligence person for South Korea, working with North Koreans, trying to get across the river into South Korea. So interesting to get to know people like that. I just love to ask people like that questions. And then
have been to the border 4 times, across into Mexico, working with some of them that just pile up down there. We're 4,000 on one little area we went to. That's working with Youth with a Mission and so forth. So I've had a good time. This is Africa. Y'all follow with me. Y'all know where this place is. There's a place called Tanga right here. Tanga is the largest port on the eastern African coast where the ships come in from China and India. And there's a road that takes off and goes up in here to Kenya, down to Tanzania, down to Mozambique, over here to Congo. Congo goes all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. Big area. This area of Tanzania is mainly Muslim. This is Kenya right here. Mainly Muslim. And then over here it's mainly Christian. And a lot of animalism, idol worship, all kinds of religions in Africa. You know that. Whoops. I think I have to keep this thing going. Okay. Quick map. It was exciting for me to go on this trip. It was with both YWAM and my church, Marvin Methodist, but there were about 8 of us on the trip. We went over there and we split up at the end. I'm going to show you mainly the ending part, just a little bit of the first part. We worked with a church that our church built right here in Bagamoyo. Zanzibar was where all the slaves were kept back in the 1800s to ship back to the east. You think they all came to America? They did not. The ships from India and China and everywhere else came in here, and this is just full of slaves. Bagamoyo was the main area on the coastline where slavery started. It started ending. It was up to, we saw where David Livingstone's burial ground was. Quite an interesting area of the world is right here in Tanzania, and it's a wonderful country, probably the safest country in Africa, maybe. So we went around to Tanga, took a 5-hour trip over there. Tanga is 80% Muslim. African architecture, Arabian, architecture all through the town. And both Bagamoyo and Tanga, all you heard was the screaming Muslim words in the morning when you wake up, just screaming it out for at least 45 minutes. So it's quite an, we went from Tanga up into the bush. I'm going to tell you about that. That's some of our people. Y'all recognize Dr. Baker there. We and his wife and several others, there are 8 of us total. We went over there and we looked like that and we looked like that and so forth. You can see us in a hurry. What I'm going to tell you here is that we'll go down here and I'm going to show you. Whoops. Oh, it's okay. I like that. Don't y'all like to see them all at one time? They found out I was a dentist. So needless to say, they just walked up there right away and said, well, you check my teeth. So we started that. But we took a little Ina Gallione with us. Ina Gallione's from the Philippines, beautiful girl. She was going to be my dental assistant. She was also a medical assistant. She's a transcriber at UT Health right now. She went over there, and the guys, they liked her better than me. Can you believe that? So they're about ready to marry her before it's over with. I wanted to show you this. I did some dentistry. I'll do this real quick. I'm talking fast because we'll get to the good part towards the end of the program today. I hope. In any case, we were there with the new church he built. He went there about 3 years ago, started at our little church down here in Marvin Methodist, came by my Sunday school class. We got him paid for to go, our class in the church, to go to seminary. He went to Jacksonville Baptist College, and he didn't know what denomination it would be, and he was smarter than most people. And so he ended up going to the Methodist seminary. We took him there to Benzal, I don't know, Mozambique maybe, one of those African countries to finish out his training. Now he's getting his PhD degree. Where's he getting that done, DM?
Truett.
Truett. Y'all know where Truett is?
Waco.
It's a Baptist seminary in Waco. Truett Seminary is a Baptist seminary in Waco, and I've been there. I'm thrilled with it. We now have a Methodist aspect of it. The Methodists have finally wised up and are going to the Baptist seminary to get trained. It's called the Wesleyan House of Studies. You're going to put that on the radio, aren't you?
Absolutely. Also learn to cook fried chicken.
There you go. Exactly right. I need for y'all to add in a little bit. Don't stay quiet out there. Christy, y'all can, because y'all are missionaries, you know. All right. So I want to show you that because here we are working. They would leave church to come let me work on their teeth. Before it's over with, I got popular. I said, I can't do all this. See all that stuff you have to get out to do ministry? And by the way, I went to Home Office Depot. Is that what you call it? Home Depot.
Yeah.
You can't take a compressor and all the high-speed stuff over there. You can take it, but to get it on an airplane, get things like it over there, it's impossible. So I went down to Home Depot and I bought me a tool. You know, like you drill it at home and make the stuff with. But you can get a special little clip put in there, a little, and put your
Adapter.
your burr in there, adapter, put your burr in there, your dental burr, just the right size for just the right hole. Well, anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
I went through those bad teeth on purpose, because y'all don't care anything about seeing people that look like that, People there, they have bad teeth, you have to do some crazy work over there. Anyway, that Dremel tool, I could feel teeth. I think I ought to patent it, shouldn't I?
That's awesome.
What's that?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, it worked. And we had discussion groups with them and everything else. This guy right here, this man right here is partially blind. He's 71 years old. He had traveled 2 days to get here to hear his first American pastor preach. He'd just become a Christian 2 years before. He was in a weird satanic occult, really, what he was in. But anyway, he became a believer in Christ, and he came to walk over there. He couldn't speak a word of English, of course, but thanks to Billy Hibbs Jr., y'all know him?
Yeah.
Hey, Billy. Billy bought us about 20 of those, I think, at the time, something like that. Billy, I can't remember. We took several of them with us, and that little thing I've got in my hand right there goes in his ear right up here. Showed him how to charge it. He can get to a person to get it charged, and he can listen to the entire Bible in Swahili. And so that was real cool. I thought we really.
That is.
Swahili is the language in that area of the country. Going on to the next one. By the way, when we were there, we did a lot of preaching.
What year was that, David?
This was just July.
This year.
Just you.
Just July. I'm going to show you a slide in a minute where I was walking up a mountain. It's just 10 days before I had my hip replaced. The mountain slide didn't help it at all. Okay, we did a wedding while we were there.
Oh.
This church is just 3 years old, basically, from 3 people to now 100. The Muslims are sending their kids, they're building a school. The Muslims want to go there because it's so cool. You want to go to a cool place, go to this church because the pastor is a cool guy. He stayed with me in my home. He's a neat guy. He represents 3 entire countries to come vote in the House of Representatives at this church. He voted the right way. Okay, I'll let y'all figure that out. That's a pretty girl from Tanga. She's a YWAM girl over there. She met up with us for the wedding. Everything got married. And that's the next day after the honeymoon night. You're supposed to look at the guy that got married and not me. But he was a happy guy, I'll tell you that. Baptisms, baptized about 14 people, I think. A lot of folks. It was quite a day. That's Pastor Alfred Inshao. He's our pastor. He's the one that's getting a PhD degree at Baylor University Seminary, or whatever you want to Truett. I'm going, this. And so we gave him some money. I had to prove I gave it to him because I didn't have any other receipt. We got ready towards the end of our trip. I'm watching my time, so I'll be through. We'll go home early. Y'all don't mind if I talk fast, do you? Am I doing okay?
Great.
Are y'all correct me now if I'm not? Here we are getting in the van. They're going on a safari. They want to go see the tigers and the elephants and the giraffes and all that stuff. No, wait a minute, Christian. We don't become missionaries to do stuff like that, do we? No, we go to serve the poor. That's what we go for. And I'm making a joke about it, but it's true. I couldn't miss the other part of it because you'll see it in a minute. I'll show you the face of it. They were going to Kilimanjaro up that way, and Kilimanjaro is the tallest mountain in Africa, about 20,000 feet. Everybody goes over to prove they can climb. We didn't go there. We just went that direction. We had to go to Tanga, and from Tanga, we rented a van, went to Tanga. We had a driver. We had an interpreter. Nobody speaks English in these areas. And I say nobody, most people. Then we went from there up into the mountainous areas. Well, our van had to make it up through dirt roads. I'll show you that. It's kind of fun. On the way up there, I got hungry. Well, people say, do you eat their food? Well, they said they cook it. You can eat cooked food, can't you, doctor? Is there a doctor around here anywhere, Dr. John Hood? Anyway, it was good. We stopped. The beer is good too. Kilimanjaro beer is real good. So you can see they have everything you need while you're there. We got in, while we were in Tanga, we buzzed around, saw the port where the ships come in. That's Lee Nokus. Lee and her husband live here in Lindale. Here we are going up to Tanga. See Tanga right here. This is where the ships come in. Then this is the highway that goes up into Kenya. From this highway, they can go all the way to Ethiopia, Sudan, all over where this war-torn area is. They can go over into Uganda. This is a really interesting area. This area right here goes south, goes down into Mozambique. And so it's a major area of Eastern Africa. We went up this road to right here. From here to Ucarino, wherever that is, we went out to Luiti. Now that's where we were yesterday. Day before yesterday, they were hoping to build a well just 2 days ago and got stuck because they had a bunch of inches of rain. Now we're going to build a well in Makarima. The reason is they're both about the same size villages. I've been there. And so I want to show you that a little bit because it's kind of interesting. It's just interesting to see that there are people in the world. I want to ask you this question as you look at this. How many, do they know anything about the war in Israel, the people in Luiti? They don't even know where Israel is. They certainly don't know anything about the war. They don't have cell phones there. I thought everywhere in the world had iPhones. They don't have them there. But anyway, it's kind of interesting. Here's a good one for people that are giving. Think about this when we try to get money from people. If you're making $2 a day, that's not enough, hard to live on, is it? A lot of places in the world, that's all they live on. It's $2 to $10 a day. Not an hour, a day. Well, that's the way it is in Luiti. In Luiti, the sad part of it is they don't have any clean water. Because they don't have any clean water, they're getting sick from it. So they save up money to buy bottled water, just like we buy bottled water. Okay? So they get bottled water in little bills, and they buy that for their children mainly. But the children would rather eat Tanga orange drinks. Not Tanga.
Hey.
No, what's the name?
Fanta.
Shan?
Fanta.
Fanta. I got Tango on my mind. They had a bunch of Fanta orange drinks. The bad part of that is they cost about the same thing as water. So the kids get, and it's full of sugar. And I'll show you in a minute. I looked at their teeth. It's horrible what's happening because this is your little nutritional message. 1 a day is okay. 2 a day, you're borrowing time. 3 a day will cause you to get bad health. Soft drinks, sodas. So if you're drinking 3 or more a day, you may say, well, I don't get cavities. It's bad with diabetes, a lot of things. You can't drink that much sugar a day. It is harmful to your health. That's my nutrition lecture. But they did up there, and the poor kids are going to suffer greatly for it. Okay, let's go to, from Luiti, see Luiti over there? We drive up through it's plains and mountain. We're going to go up into the mountainous areas. That heads right up to where Kilimanjaro is. We go up there, people walk alongside the road. That's what a poor woman, they take, some of them had 3 buckets, those big buckets, and they would put one on their head and one in each arm to go back to the house. They had a stream there that was relatively good water. And that's what we were looking through the window of the truck there, just seeing some people that live in houses. These are the wealthy people. Let me show you this and this, and you can hear it. The town starts at the top up there past the last van. Ours was the middle van, 3 vehicles is all that's in the whole town. And of course, we were renting those vehicles. And then you go down to the other side, there's one restaurant there. There it is. We got us up. I was kind of afraid to eat their food, but anyway, we had a group of people from Arusha, Africa, which is 5 miles from the base of Kilimanjaro. And they're the ones that were helping us get ready to get them some clean water. And so they met us there. They drove a long way to get there. The fellow next to Lee Nokus and his wife, that's our pastor over there. Church is going to be. So we drive back away from the town about a half a mile, and we look up there, and it says, way up there at the top of this mountain. They told me, I'm going to get a hip replacement here in about 10 days. And they said, it's just right up over here is where it turns out. It's up this way, not up this way. Didn't have to climb that mountain. Anyway, it's back that way. And so just in the bush, they found that's the cheapest land they could buy. And there, before we left, were the women with the buckets to come get water. And so I can tell you that I like to get around the world and see what the heck's going on. Well, this is what you find out when people have no money, all they have is a bucket. They've got a Muslim religion, and so we took, on the way up, we crawled up there towards the church. See the church up there? That's a cool tree right there, by the way. Here we are, Dr. Nichols is making it up the hill. And when I got up there, I didn't know whether it's fruit or a club to beat somebody with. But so I asked this, it's a fruit. That's the inside of the church. You don't care anything about churches? Just look at this. Look how they're built. And there, that's the church. That's Lee. Lee is there right now today drilling. Lee Nichols is. I got a text from him and a photo. I'll show you in a minute. Is there little children? I did check their teeth. Rotten teeth already is terrible. Women are always the ones that run the church now around the world. Probably even over here in Green Acre. I don't know. Well, women take a big stand, and thank God for them. I've got music to go with it and everything else. Here we are in there. Here's another one, Billy. That other one's back there in Bogota. This one is out in Bawiti. And here she is, never heard Swahili Bible in her life. And so it's kind of cool to get to watch them do that. Okay, that's Lee. Yesterday I got this text and photo just yesterday. That's Lee Nichols. I want to just mention something about Lee. If y'all wanted to, we'll get him to come give a program here sometime. He's only been in about 40 countries. He's ridden motorcycles in almost every one of those. His stories are unbelievable where he's going. And he's been in and out of North Korea about 30 times. He's helped build a factory that makes clothes that North Face even has from North Korea, but it has a China label on it. He helped do that. He can smile at the North Koreans and they think he's on their side. It's the craziest thing in the world. But you really think he's an idiot when you talk to him because nobody would do what he does. But he loves to go into dangerous areas. That's the truck that got out of the deal. Anyway, I'm afraid of his, of all people. Okay. There we are back with Pastor Alfred. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? This is the map that just gets you confused, but we went up to Tanga. There's a lot of little villages. All these are just little tiny villages. There's no big towns anywhere, not many. Dar es Salaam down here is one of the largest cities in Africa, maybe the second largest, it may become the first. George Bush was going to build a bridge out to an island out there called the George Bush Bridge. He never did make it. Now let me show you something else here as I go along. I'm getting there. Israel. One time we had, when I got to go to Israel, I was with the Rosenberg group, and that allowed us to get to a lot of places. He came here to Tyler, and David Dykes and I helped the other guys from One for Israel. Today, I get my information from Rosenberg and the guy from One for Israel, and from I-24 News. How many of you watch I-24 News? How many of you? 1, 2, 3, 4. The rest of you, why do you have cable? The rest of you who have cable, if you don't have cable, you can't get it easily, I don't think. How many of you have cable? Watch I-24 News. It's channel 49. There's Fox on 48, I-24 on 49, and CNN on 50. Everything on 49 everything's out of Israel. And so it's so educational. They can show you walking through the hospital where the people had the tunnel and that sort of thing. They can show that to you on TV. So anyway, I want to put a plug in for that. So I'm coming along here, and I want to show you, first of all, there's lots of places. That's where Jesus was supposedly crucified. There's so much you can go. If you ever want to go over there and see all that stuff, it's great. I want to show you a couple of slides here. Okay. When we think about Israel, this is, you know why I'm doing this? Is it okay with y'all? Yeah. It's because this is really more interesting and more important than Africa right now. Africa is Africa. They need us. They're great people that need us like everybody else. But here we are in Israel, and Gaza's down here at the very tip. Lebanon's up there. The West Bank's right here. That's just a little slide to give you a glow of what it looks like over there. Now this is a closer look. This is an interesting photograph of a piece of paper in the history book I have, whatever. This is when King David and King Solomon were head of of Israel. This is a history lesson coming up. Did you know Israel was the largest and most powerful country, not little area, country in the world at one time? 1000 BC, the ships from Europe were coming in there. Solomon, well, he was having all kind of stuff come in, bringing in animals, you name it. Gold and silver was coming in by the tons. And they were the richest. You remember the story. Y'all know the story, don't you? Anyway, it was the largest, and this is what it went. Here's Damascus down here. Israel went way up there, all the way to the Euphrates River. This is all on the east bank of the river here. Jordan. Thank you for old man can't remember the name of anything. Any case, that's what it looks like. And here's Gaza. I want y'all to know something. I want you to look at this now. This is really important. See the little yellow line here? Can you see that? That's the border. Look where it comes down to Joppa and it comes over. It doesn't touch the Mediterranean Sea. That's the Gaza Strip. Even King David couldn't get the Gaza Strip. Even King David couldn't get it. He got everything. Solomon inherited this great land. And so it has been where Philistia is. I read in 135 AD, a Roman general renamed it Palestine from Philistia. He got that name. Palestine has never been a nation ever. A lot of people don't know that. They think Israel came in and took over Palestine. Not true. Israel was there. Philistia was a hard one for them to conquer. But it never was a nation. It was an area of the country. When Jesus was here, it was just a province of Rome. And before that. So Israel went away in 586 BC. It went away because the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem and wiped out, pushed everybody either to Babylon or around the world to other nations. That's what happened to Israel in 586 BC. After that, you come forward, and there's a lot of history about it. You come up to the time Jesus was here. After that, a guy named Flavius Josephus wrote a book, The Antiquities of the Jews. He was a Jewish guy who was imprisoned by Vespasian, the emperor, and he liked him so much, he turned him out of prison to try to get Israel to surrender. They wouldn't, so that the Roman armies wiped them out in 70 AD. And there's never been any more strength there since then, until when? 1948. I was already born. 2,300 years later, it starts coming about. It's so interesting, the history of Israel. So interesting. So I want to show that to you in case you didn't know all about that. The only reason I do is because I love to study this stuff. We're about done. That's where the ships are right now. You know, we said, this is a scary thing. I'm not telling you an opinion of anything. I'm telling you what comes across the news. Russia, Iran, Turkey, America is their number one enemy. They claim it's Israel, but it may be America. Because they think they know Israel can't exist. If they can get rid of America, they can get rid of Israel. And that's in their plan. The intelligence in Israel knows it, American intelligence knows it. So there is a lot going on. Things are not at ease, in case y'all didn't know. I'll give you some good news someday. Okay, there's that 1874 map. If you've ever read the Old Testament, the books of Ezekiel, there were two guys, Daniel and Ezekiel, that got taken into Babylon when they destroyed Israel. Ezekiel wrote a book that God gave him the words, and in chapters 36, 7, 8, and 9, it talks about Gomer and Togarmah and Magog and all that stuff. Y'all heard that before? It's real. Real places started back when Japheth was the son of Noah. And then one of his kids' name was Magog. Russia was another one. Here we got Iraq and Afghanistan and all those places that you see in there. That's Libya. Cush, that's Sudan and Ethiopia. How do I know that? Everybody knows that studies it. It's in the history books. We just happen to have some biblical terms to talk about it. When you get over there and what's going to happen, we're just about done. I'm not saying this is an antichrist or anything, but Magog has now been identified with all the scholars as Russia. So when you go read chapter 36, 7, 8, 9, when it says chapter 38, and tells you about a great war that's coming when Russia decides to go to Israel to destroy it, along with the help from Iran, along with the help from Turkey. When I read about it initially 48 years ago, I said, well, Turkey's our friend. No, not anymore. And so there's what it looks like from Iran, Persia. It's listed in the Bible as Persia, that's Iran. It's listed in the Bible as Magog, that's Russia. It's listed in the Bible as Togarmah, Gomer, that's Turkey. It's so interesting to read this history because now you can understand what's going on in the Middle East. It's biblical. It's not something that's, oh, by the way, when I flew from down to Africa, I left Turkey, and I flew over the Mediterranean and came down this way. This is the ending. The pilot interrupted our flight, said, we're having to take a little jitter around this area right here. Of course, I took this picture in my airplane, right? You know, y'all been on there where you have the screen. Why did he do that? Because Russia is building a naval base right down here near Port Sudan. Why is that important? Because Russia didn't want to fly over them. Russia has a lot of power. It's not quite as easy looking as you think. That's what it looks like standing on the government heights with them shooting at each other. And so Jim Hosden was a friend of mine, and he talked to the soldier and got permission for me to get up on the tank and act like I was a soldier. So here I am fighting the war over there. I want to end with that to let you know that's a bunch of bull. I was just taking pictures. But anyway, I was on the tank though. Thank y'all for listening. Any question? Any question? Yes. You haven't taken too long, Trudy?
No, you're fine, you got it.
Any comment about local Strickland?
Joseph Strickland. Excellent question. Do y'all know who that is?
Oh, yeah.
He's a friend of mine. Born in Atlanta, Texas, and raised in, my brother was his doctor. And so when he comes up to me, he pats me on the shoulder and says, how's Atlanta Rapids doing? Because that's where we're, Joseph Strickland is taking a view that most Smith County Christians take, which is pro-Israel, one thing, anti-abortion. Now that'll cause division among us right in here. He's anti-abortion. He thinks that we all take up, because we have a lot of friends who are in the LGBTQ movement, but he says eventually that'll help weaken a family situation and help ruin a county, ruin a nation. He said those things, and the Pope is bringing him down because that's just too conservative for him. That's basically it. He said some things publicly. He went to a deal in New Jersey or someplace. You may know about that. You didn't tell us about it, Paul. You may know something.
Well, you got it.
I got it down. That's just in a nutshell what's happening. He's a brave man. He's taken a view that not everybody in here agrees with. I know that. I teach a Sunday school class, and I get thrown eggs at sometimes. But the point is, no, I don't. But the point is, the world is getting divided. I didn't show you this last one. I didn't show you a slide, but I took a slide of just 3 days ago in Washington. 290,000 people pro-Israel. Took another slide, 250,000 people anti-Israel. The world is divided over this issue, even in this country. Thank God I live in Tyler, Texas.
Thank you so much, and I'm so glad you touched on all that, because all of your pictures of Africa, and I know Pam's been to Africa, but also Israel too, because there's a lot going on. I mentioned before, there's a lot going on this week. There's a lot going on in the world, and I know if you're anything like me, you feel like we all feel, a lot of us are just getting so tired, but we're staying in the course and we're keeping up the fight. So yes, sir.
Trudy, I'd just like to say that if you enjoyed listening to David, he is on probably the longest continually running radio program.
What channel, what state radio station is that?
And I'm getting there. In 1928, in Marvin Methodist Church, they started putting a running class on the radio. And it's on Paul's radio station, AM 600 KTVB or 97.5 KTVB at 10 o'clock every Sunday morning. And it is a great program, and David is a fantastic Sunday school teacher.
And I teach stuff like this.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I didn't know a lot of that. I mean, we know there's things that this is serious, and I think that that's really, really trickling down to all of us. This is a serious, serious time. I don't think we get the majority of it through the news channels, but a lot of us, a lot of the Catholic community, just so you know, I'm glad you brought that up, JB3, they are broken hearted. This is a big strike from the Vatican. This is not something that happens every day, and you all know where I work, and it has really broken a lot of
You know,
hearts.
the Wall Street Journal had a whole page on it.
It's rough. It's rough. It's rough out there, guys. The world needs more Rotarians. So just be as kind as you can, because this is not going to be an easy holiday season. This is not going to be an easy time for the world. And we just really have to be better. We just have to be better, because you're right, we're being divided.
One good news, I love to read the Bible, study the Bible, learn what the Bible says. God is ultimately in control.
Yes.
You don't have to sit there and cry your head off. It's terrible. People die, suffer, torture, you name it, it's all happening. He's in control.
Thank God he is, because there's days that it gets scary. Okay, so we do still have the Ace of Diamonds. It's lived through last week, and I know that it's getting to be quite a large pot. So one thing, we're gonna end on a high note. When I got here, it was at $2,900, and I saw several people getting lots of tickets. So it's got to be at least $3,000 now.
Mhm.
Okay, so Dr.
I
Nichols,
can draw it because I
we're
didn't
gonna
buy
let you
one.
draw.
I
You
didn't
buy
buy
one,
one, so I can draw.
and there's only 7 cards left. So it can only make it through 7 more meetings, even if it goes to the last one.
Are y'all ready?
Ready.
Hold on, I've got $100 bill there. Okay, now you go. You gotta read that number.
Well, the first number is 6, the next one's 2, and the next one's 0. 620.
Last 3 digits are 620.
Try again, draw another.
I knew
You
it.
said it. But he hasn't drawn it yet, Trudy.
He hasn't. I did. What tickets did you buy, Andy? How many tickets did you get first?
He got 20.
He got 20 tickets. Okay. He had a 1 in 7 chance of getting it.
Ace of Diamonds.
No, no.
Oh,
No.
It's red.
What was it? 4 hearts. Okay, the Ace of Diamonds. Oh, sorry, 2 weeks. Don't show up here next week. Please celebrate with your family. And please stand for the test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
and fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
We are adjourned. Have a great day.
Okay. Okay.